The restaurant was nearly empty when the evening rush finally faded. The kind of quiet that settles in after plates stop clattering and conversations melt into distant murmurs. Warm yellow lights reflected off polished tables, and the scent of soap and leftover spices hung in the air. In the corner of the dining room, a young woman moved slowly between tables, wiping them down with practiced care. Her name was Lila. To most people, she was invisible. Just the cleaner. Just a girl in a plain uniform with her hair pulled back, head down, moving quietly so she wouldn't be noticed. She had learned long ago that staying unnoticed made life easier. Fewer questions, fewer judgments, fewer reminders of dreams she could no longer afford to chase. Lila cleaned tables the way she lived her life, carefully, silently, leaving no trace of herself behind. Customers rarely looked at her. If they did, it was only long enough to step aside. She didn't mind, or at least, she told herself she didn't. Beneath the quiet rhythm of her work, something stirred in her chest every night as the restaurant emptied. A longing she never spoke aloud, a voice she kept locked away. That night, as the last server clocked out and chairs were flipped onto tables, the silence felt heavier than usual. The radio behind the counter played softly, an old song drifting through the room like a memory. Lila paused mid-wipe. Her hand froze. The melody tugged at something deep inside her, something she had buried years ago. Before she could stop herself, she hummed along. Just a breath at first. Then, barely louder than the hum of the lights, she sang one line. It wasn't loud. It wasn't meant for anyone else to hear. But it was pure. Her voice filled the empty restaurant, soft and aching, carrying a depth of emotion that didn't belong to someone who scrubbed tables for a living. It was the sound of heartbreak and hope tangled together. The sound of a dream that refused to die. Behind the counter, the restaurant owner froze. His name was Marcus. He had built this place from nothing, brick by brick, failure by failure. He'd heard thousands of voices in his lifetime. Loud ones, confident ones, trained ones. But none had ever stopped him like this. He slowly turned toward the dining room. His breath caught somewhere between disbelief and awe. The song continued, just one line repeated again, trembling but unwavering. Marcus didn't move. He didn't speak. He just listened. Lila had no idea. Her eyes were closed now, lost in the moment. For those few seconds, she wasn't a cleaner. She wasn't invisible. She was back in her childhood bedroom, singing into a cracked mirror, imagining a stage she had never seen. When the song ended, reality rushed back in. She opened her eyes, heart pounding, suddenly aware of how loud her voice must have sounded in the silence. And then she saw him. Marcus stood there, staring at her, his face unreadable. Panic shot through her. Her cheeks burned. "I'm sorry," she rushed out, lowering her head. "I didn't mean to. I'll get back to work." Shame wrapped around her like a familiar blanket. She had broken her own rule. She had been noticed. If you believe that hidden talents deserve to be seen, that kindness can change the course of a life, and that sometimes all it takes is one moment to rewrite someone's story, take a second to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Kindness with Malik. Your support helps keep these stories alive. Marcus didn't scold her. He didn't interrupt. He simply asked, quietly, "Where did you learn to sing like that?" His voice was steady, but his eyes told a different story. Lila hesitated. No one had asked her that in years. "Nowhere," she said softly. "I just always did." The truth was harder to explain. She had grown up singing in church choirs, school plays, anywhere she could. But when her mother got sick, dreams were replaced with bills. Music became a luxury she couldn't afford. Survival came first. Marcus leaned against the counter, arms crossed, still watching her like she might disappear if he blinked. "Sing it again," he said. Lila shook her head quickly. Fear crept in her voice. "I really shouldn't." She had learned what happened when hope got too close. It hurt more when it left. But Marcus waited. No pressure, no command, just patience. Something about that gentleness broke through her defenses. Slowly, she nodded. This time, her voice was stronger, richer. The walls seemed to listen. The empty chairs, the quiet kitchen, the dim lights, all bore witness to something extraordinary hiding in plain sight. When she finished, tears blurred her vision. She hadn't meant to cry, but years of silence spilled out with the final note. Marcus exhaled slowly. You know, he said, people pay a lot of money to hear voices like yours. Lila laughed bitterly, wiping her eyes. People like me don't get those chances. Marcus shook his head. People like you don't get them because no one ever stops long enough to listen. The next week, everything changed. Marcus asked Lila to sing during closing hours, just for the staff. Then one night, he invited a few regulars to stay late. Word spread quietly, the way real things do. No posters, no announcements, just whispers. A cleaner with a voice that could stop time. Lila sang with trembling hands and a steady heart. Each night, her confidence grew. So did the crowd. Marcus never took a cut, never rushed her. He simply gave her space. Eventually, he helped her record a demo, paid for studio time without telling anyone. When Lila found out, she cried harder than she ever had. She didn't quit cleaning right away. She still wiped tables between songs, still stayed humble, but she walked differently now, like someone who had been seen. Years later, the restaurant would be known for more than its food. People came to hear the woman who once cleaned the tables sing from the corner stage. Some never knew her story. Others did, and they listened a little closer because of it. Marcus never claimed credit. When asked why he helped her, he always said the same thing. I just happened to be in a room when someone brave enough to sing decided not to stay silent. Lila's life wasn't perfect after that. There were rejections, long nights, doubts still crept in, but she never cleaned in silence again. She sang, even when no one was listening, especially then. If this story moved you, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Kindness with Malik. And before you go, comment below, what hidden talent do you keep quiet about? Your story might inspire someone else to finally be heard. Because sometimes the most extraordinary voices belong to the people we walk past every day. And sometimes all it takes is one kind moment, one listening ear to change a life forever.